money's going, where public money's going. I'm John Layfield. I am your host. I'm like Julie of the Love Boat. I'm just not banging Captain Stupid like Julie of the Love Boat. So other than that, I'm your host. The Follow the Action podcast has been downloaded in over 60 countries, almost 2,000 cities. All 50 states for a very good reason. That's because we have the very best in the business and what we do. You can get us all on YouTube, get us to Twitter right now, Facebook, all of our social media. So let's get right down to it. I'll introduce the people that we have today, the experts. First, he is a notorious supermodel. He is so good looking you can't put him on the air. And that is Mr. Dave Mason from Bet Online. Dave, how you doing today?
I'm well. Thanks for the generous introduction again.
Yeah, Dave, we gave you best wishes last week. Hopefully everything with Bet Online, with the hack and all the stuff that you guys went through, you guys got it all straight now.
Yeah, it was one of those things, an industry thing. These things happen from time to time, so it was a challenging weekend. But, we greased our players a little bit. They were patient, and, by about 1 o'clock games, we were up and running. So, again, appreciate everybody's patience, and, onward and upward.
Awesome. Just a sign of doing business in a new world where technological espionage and hacking, and unfortunately, is part of everyday life. And let's get to the two experts. So you talk about the NFL. This man owns the NFL. That's right. Roger Goodell, I think, works for him because he was 64.8% last year, and the NFL hit rate fighting out of the city of brotherly love. He is the Philly Godfather. Philly Godfather, how you doing?
Doing well, man. We made a couple bucks yesterday in college football. Las Vegas Wolf is killing it. The college kids are making money. The 8-ball Rooster, we all had a great day yesterday. We won right around 9 positions combined. So it was a very profitable Saturday, and we're looking to make you guys some money today in the NFL.
Hey, the Wolf is absolutely killing it. He put out a tweet earlier and said, "Who wants a free pick?" We do. Absolutely. He has been called the future of sports betting. He is one half of the college kids. Representing the college kids, he is Matt. Matt, I understand you're up there in Pennsylvania. How are you today?
Doing very well. We had a good day yesterday in college football. Went 3-1. Can't complain.
Awesome. Well, let's get started. We got 12 games to go through, so we'll get you done at the top of the hour. We may have to rush through a couple of games, but we'll start right off with, and I'm going to give the number out of the sports betting screen. They may not be in chronological order because I got them off of a book earlier today, and the odds most doubtedly will have changed because I got them up a few hours ago. Mr. Dave Mason from Bet Online will correct me if that is the case, which it is certainly to be. First game is an AFC North matchup. It is the Cleveland Browns, who are minus 170 on the money line. -3 is the spread. You got to give the points to take the Browns. Cincinnati Bengals plus 150 on the money line. The over-under stands at 50.5. Bengals are 1-4. Browns are 4-2. Baker Mayfield did not practice last week. They had a loss to Pittsburgh, 38-7. He did practice this week. Mr. Dave Mason from Bet Online, where is all the money going?
All of the money, just about almost every dollar is on the Browns, currently laying 3.5. That went to 3.5 a little while ago. 88% of the cash is on the Browns, so that's a very huge decision early on. Over under 55%, 59% is on the under, which is currently 50.5 under -107.
And Philly Godfather, you got a phone call that is important?
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, we're moving on this game.
I thought it might have been the coach. I wasn't trying to pick at you. I thought it might be the coach telling you to bet on one side so you take the other.
I blocked him. Now, unless Matt has a text from the coach saying that he probably does love the Browns like the public does, even though I'm on the other side. The right side here is the Bengals +4 or +3.5, even though the Browns definitely have to bounce back after getting their asses whipped to the Steelers last week, 38-7. Both these teams' offenses have struggled on the year when you look at their metrics. The Browns are slightly better in the yards per play metric, while the Bengals are ranked almost dead last in that department. The big difference between these two offenses this year has been the red zone scoring. The Browns are ranked 5th in the NFL, but this year, this game, they're missing a ton of weapons. They're banged up. Baker Mayfield's got a whole sore right side. Austin Hooper's out. Landry's battling some ribs. There's no Nick Chubb. If you remember the first time they played, those 3 players accounted for about 50% of their offensive production numbers, and they still couldn't cover a 5-point spread against the Bengals. So this time around, I like the Bengals here at home, plus the points. They've been in some real close games. I like the Bengals here.
Matt, do you have something on this game as well?
I don't have anything, but I agree with PGF here. I really do believe that the Bengals are the right side here. Like we were talking about, last game they only lost by 5, and that was, I believe, at Cleveland. Now they're back home, division game. I take the dog with the points.
And just so everybody knows out there, we're going to go through and recap who was bet on what at the end of the show, right before the top of the hour. So you get to the game on time. But we'll recap all of this, so you don't have to worry about taking notes. You can, but if you don't, we'll recap it at the end. The next game is 453 and 454 on your sports betting screen. It is my Dallas Cowboys. Yes, sir. 2-4. Unfortunately, Connor Williams may be the only starter from day one. That is only offensive line that is starting this week. They are playing the Washington football team. It is a pick'em matchup. The Washington football team is 1-5. The Cowboys are 2-4. The over-under currently stands at 45. A little weather here in the Washington, D.C. area. I live here. It's about a 10-mile-an-hour wind and slight drizzle right now. Looks like what it'll be at game time. Dave Mason from Bet Online. Where do you have money going?
Yeah, quick update on the odds. Washington is now -1, -103, over under 44.5. The public's on the Cowboys. 81% of the cash is on the Cowboys. Again, now getting 1 point. Sharp action is on Washington at +1 to +2.5. 60% of actions on the over. We did take, sharp action is on the football team. Sorry about that. +1 to +2.5, and there's 60% is on the over. Correct.
Thank you. And Philly Godfather, do you agree with the public or the sharp money here? Are you going against my Dallas Cowboys? Please tell me don't. Don't break my heart. Not this early in the morning. Come on. I got to have something to live for.
This game's a dumpster fire. I mean,
No.
neither one of these teams should be favored against anybody in the NFL right now. These two teams have a combined negative 99-point differential. They're 3-9 combined straight up. They've covered the spread just twice this year, and the Cowboys are actually 0-5 against the spread. Washington's, I think, is 2-1 against the closing Vegas number. The only thing that's going to keep this game close is this Washington football team's defensive line. But their offense is horrible. I think they've put up the least amount of points in the NFC this year, the third least in the NFL. I think they put up 108 points on their offensive side of the ball. I don't know. Defense. Dallas's defense is getting some key players back. They're getting Sean Lee back. They're getting the corner back. I hate to say it, but I think the public's right here. I think the Cowboys are the right side here. Cal Allen has some very limited weapons. They just can't seem to move the ball. They can't seem to score. They're going up against a pretty healthy Cowboys defense. I think the Cowboys are the right side here. If you grab +1.5, I know the sharp money took the Redskins, but I like the Cowboys.
Matt, do you agree with that with the Dallas Cowboys?
Unfortunately, I do not. I actually like Washington here. I think that defensive line is going to get to Andy Dalton, especially with all those offensive linemen now. We saw Zach Martin, such a key pivotal piece for this team. He's out. And I think they're going to have some trouble going against those guys, Chase Young and those guys on the defensive line. I think they might be able to cause some turnovers and win this game.
You mentioned the ineptness of the offense, Philly Godfather. You got a little weather here, about 10-mile-an-hour wind, and it looks like a little bit of drizzle to slight rain. Did you touch the over-under here?
I mean, the right side's the under, but I think it's moved 4 points, hasn't it, Dave, since the opener?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so, I mean, what is that, 45 right now?
44.5.
Yeah, it's tough to go under 44.5. The Cowboys are still stacked on offense, even though their offensive line is banged up. The right side's, I guess, under 45 if you can find it, but it's not. I mean, I don't know. The line's moved too much, for me to get
Wouldn't
down.
touch it. And, Matt, would you touch this either?
If you're going to touch the total, definitely go under. I think that is the right side here. Like I said, I think both offensive lines aren't that well. It's going to be hard to pass on these teams. Dallas hasn't really versed the defense that's as good as Washington in terms of efficiency. So I really do think the under is the right play here.
I'm wearing my Houston Oilers, a replica Earl Campbell jersey, just so that there's something from Texas that has a good football legacy, because there's not any football teams right now we're talking about. It's a dumpster fire, unfortunately. I agree. The next game is also almost a dumpster fire. The Falcons won their first game last week against Minnesota behind Julio Jones. Falcons are 1-5 as far as a record, and they are the favorite here on the money line, at least. This was earlier in the day. -125 against the Lions, who are getting 1.5 points, +105 on the money line. The Lions are 2-3. Falcons 1-5, as I mentioned. Lions have won 2 of their last 3. The over-under stands at 55.5 points. Dave Mason from BetOnline, where do you have the money?
Yeah, quick update on odds. Falcons are currently -1 and the total's now at 55. Public is on the Lions. 64% of the cash is on Detroit. 59% is on the over, and some early sharp action on the Lions when they were at +3.
Sharp action on the Lions at +3. Philly Godfather, do you have anything on this game?
I know there's some sharp money on Detroit at +3, but I like the Falcons now. Where's the line at -1 now, Dave?
Yeah, it's now -1. I mean, that +3 is value at that number.
Yeah, and maybe the over might be the stronger play in my opinion. I mean, you got 2 dome teams here at 55. It seems kind of late to me. Both these teams have injuries on the defensive side of the ball, while their offenses are relatively healthy. I'm expecting a shootout. This game, it's really close to call, but considering the fact that this is the second road game in a row for Detroit, and the Falcons are coming off a real solid win against Minnesota, I think the Falcons are back on track, and I hate going against the sharp money, but I think Atlanta's the right side here.
Matt, do you agree with that?
I think this game's a toss-up. I really do. If forced to make a move, I think I'd go Detroit, but it's not something I like, man. I think it's a true toss-up in my opinion.
I mean, you can't. I mean, and once that line moves off of 3, it's hard to take Detroit at anything +3. I mean, it's just 3, 3.5. Yeah, you're looking for Detroit money, but at 1, I think Atlanta's the right side.
Go to the next game is a NFC South matchup. It is number 461 and 462 on your sports betting screen, and it is the Carolina Panthers, who are +235 on the money line, playing the New Orleans Saints, who are coming off a bye week, who are -290. The records for the Panthers is 3-3. The Saints 3-2. Out for the Saints will be Michael Thomas with a hamstring injury and Emmanuel Sanders with COVID. They're coming off a bye week. As I mentioned, the over-under is 50.5 points. Dave Mason, where do you have the money?
They're on the Panthers, yeah. 78% of the action, 78% of the cash is on the Panthers. 58% is on the over, which, again, is currently 50.5. So nothing too sharp here at BetOnline.
Nothing sharp. Philly Godfather, do you have something on this game?
I like the Panthers plus the touchdown. If you can grab a touchdown here, I like the under as well. I mean, this 3-2 Saints team hasn't impressed me all year. Even in their Week 1 victory over Tampa Bay, I mean, Tampa Bay gave them that game. They turned the ball over 3 times. And you look at who they beat. I mean, they're coming off an overtime win against a 1-4 Chargers team. They got a 6-point victory over Detroit, and they're not scaring nobody. 7-point loss to the Packers and a 10-point loss to the Raiders on the road. This Panthers team, in my opinion, they're very well disciplined, very well coached. And they've been in some real close games this year. They lost to the 5-1 Bears, I think, by a touchdown. They lost to the Raiders. They were in that game by 4 points. And you know how high-powered that Raiders offense is. And now the Saints are missing 2 wideouts for this game. I think the Panthers are the right side here. Even in the game they lost to the Buccaneers, Carolina, early in the year, they lost by double digits, but they turned the ball over 4 times in that game. So that game was a lot closer than the final score indicated. I like the Panthers here plus a touchdown, and I like the under.
Matt, do you have something on this game?
Don't have anything, but I would go Panthers, as PGF said. Teddy Bridgewater, he's the cover king. For some reason, he always finds a way to cover, and you're getting a touchdown here. And like you said, the level of opponents that Saints have versed and their win margin really hasn't impressed me. Chargers won by 3 in OT. Detroit, like you said, isn't nothing special. They won there. Lost to Vegas, lost to Green Bay. Should have lost to Tampa. They lost in the box score. Carolina's much more disdisciplined, and I think they get the cover here, +7.
Yeah, and if you look at the point,
Drew Brees,
I'm sorry.
has he lost it? There's a lot of speculation here. His yards per catch are down. He doesn't seem to be throwing the deep ball as well as he did. Do you think Drew Brees has finally age caught up to him?
I don't think he's lost it, but he's not what he was. I mean, the velocity of his passes down the field, everything about it. Plus, when you're missing weapons and you got other guys to throw to and they're not running the right routes, things don't work out for you. If you look at their point differential on the year, they're just +3. Carolina's -3. They're basically, these teams are very evenly matched. Right now, I wouldn't be looking to lay 7 on the Saints against, not too many teams, especially not the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah. Drew Brees, we all know his velocity has slipped a little bit, and he's become so much about timing at this point in his career that when he doesn't have those guys like Michael Thomas that he has reps with and these other guys, kind of makes it a little more difficult.
Not to chase down a rabbit hole here, but Tom Brady doesn't appear to have lost it yet.
Hell
he
no.
appears about the same age. He appears to be the same ball that he threw at least the last number of years. Do you guys agree that's right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you look at the eye test, if you look at the metrics, and you got to remember, Tampa Bay's offense has been banged up all year. They're starting to get healthy right now. That's why some of their offensive metrics, like yards per pass attempt, yards per play, aren't really in the top, echelon of the NFL. But their offense efficiency is right there. I think they're ranked number 6th or 7th in the NFL. And this team is just going to get better. And, man, if Antonio Brown is 50%, 75% of what he was, this team's going to be hard to beat. They got one of the best defenses in football. We were all lucky enough to take Tampa Bay at 50-1 before the season started, at plus 700 to win the division. And I think we got a great chance to cash that ticket, John.
They signed everybody but LeBron and Jordan. Everybody's going to Tampa Bay. It's unbelievable. We said that earlier in the summer that Antonio Brown would probably go there.
Yeah, we talked. I sent a tweet out. I sent it out right to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to Tom Brady, hoping they would listen. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But the reason why I bet Tampa Bay, obviously I knew Tom Brady was going to the Buccaneers, but I knew they would go out and get everybody, just like we bet the Lakers last May at 20-1 before they had Antonio Davis. You knew with LeBron, with that type of talent on your team, you're going to go out and get people. We don't know who you're going to go out and get, but you're going to go out and get some monsters, and you're going to make a run.
Yeah. I saw Gronk at WrestleMania when he was there. He won the 24/7 title, was defending it, or we'd won at WrestleMania, one of the two. And I see him. I said, "So when are you going to Tampa Bay?" And he just looked at me. And I thought, that answered the question right there. He was shocked. I was just fishing. I wasn't just making conversation, but he could tell he was. He'd already had it, I think, in his mind. The next game is number 463 and 464 on your sports betting screen. It is the Bills Mafia, who started off 4-0. They 0-2 the last two games, Tennessee and Kansas City, respectively. It is an AFC East matchup. It is against the least of the AFC East. It is the Jets, who are 0-6. The Bills are minus 10 as far as the spread earlier today. 46 is the point total for the over-under. Dave Mason from Bet Online, where do you have the money, please?
69% of the cash is on the Bills, minus 10. 77% is on the over, currently 46.5. And the money line, this is the biggest bet money line of the day. 97% of the cash is laying minus 5.15 on the Bills. So we'll be big Jets fans here at Bet Online today. Hopefully Bengals team can get it done, or at least cover.
I assume that the Bills are never parlayed probably on your screen.
What's that? The Bills parlayed?
Yeah. Off the money line.
Well, they'll get in those all chalk money lines. They'll be keyed in a lot, just like like MMA last night. All the chalk won, and we got killed on all this all chalk parlay money line parlays. So they'll be keyed in there. Oh, there was some sharp on some Jets at plus 10.5. By the way, sorry I didn't mention that.
Philly Godfather, did you have anything on this game?
I like the Jets. I took my plus 11. The Bills secondary is all banged up. Lewis is questionable. All these guys are just hurt on this Bills secondary. I think Darnold can be able to pass on this pass defense. They've been giving up a lot of yards per pass attempt on the year. I'm probably going to be on an island, with this wager with the Jets plus 11. I just think it's time for them to cover the spread.
Matt, do you have something on this game?
You'll never catch me betting on the Jets. That's the first thing I got to say. I can't touch this game, man. The right side's the Jets, but I can't touch the Jets. It's just something I can't do. They're not on my do not bet list.
How can you blame them? So bad.
Do not bet list. Let me put that down. I got to take a note there so I can recap. There we go. Do not bet list. They've
been the right side a couple of times this year, and every time we ended up with the wrong result. It's just, especially that Broncos game. That was one of those games. Oh man, they just find ways not to win and not to cover. They're just so bad.
Next game is number 465 and 466 on your sports betting screen, and that is the Green Bay Packers behind Aaron Rodgers, who lost last week, pretty much decimated by the Tampa Bay Bucks. They are 4-1, though. They are -3 as far as the spread, -170 on the money line, playing the Houston Texans, who are an abysmal, like most Texas football teams, 1-5. The point total is, I think, the highest of the day, at least earlier today, at 56. Dave Mason, Bet Online, where do you have the money, please?
Yes, sir. It is the highest total of the day and still at 56. Bettors are on the Packers. 64% of the cash is on Green Bay, currently -3. 77% of the action's on the over. Little bit of sharp action on the Texans here, +3.5.
Sharp at +3.5. And Philly Godfather, did you have something on the game?
I mean, you're expecting Aaron Rodgers to come back after getting beat down like he stole something against Tampa Bay, last week. But they're missing 5 starters, 2 on offense, 3 on defense. They're probably not going to play. At 3.5, the Texans are the right side. If that line gets below 3, I mean, it'd be a great game to look the middle with Green Bay -2.5 if you can get it. Texans +3.5. One of the most well-respected sports bettors in the world that I'm friends with is on the Texans at +3.5. He put some big money on that team. But in my opinion, I think this is a game you can try in middle, man. If you can, grab 3.5 somewhere, find some 2.5, or buy it down for cheap, I think that would be the smart way to play this game.
And what would be the middle? +3.5 and 2.5?
Yeah, lay the 2.5 on Green Bay, +3.5 on the Texans. It just scares me a little bit because Green Bay's banged up, man, and the public's all over Green Bay, and they're expecting them to come back, and they can't lose 2 in a row. Well, teams lose 2 in a row all the time. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it is what it is, John.
Matt, do you have something on this game?
I think Houston's the right side. I mean, Green Bay's hurt at 3.5. I mean, I think it's the right side. We're looking at Bakatieri, or however you say his name, all-pro left tackle, and he's not playing. He's going to be out. Corey Linsley, he's been on the injury report all week. He was questionable coming in, and he just got announced that he's going to be active, but is he 100%? So it's a tough game. If I had to pick, I'm going Houston.
Next game is number 477 and 478. So chronologically, that was not in order, but this is what I saw on the sports betting screen. So if you want to adjust, this is rescheduled from week 4 due to COVID issues, and it is an undefeated matchup. The only undefeated matchup, there's only 3 undefeated teams, so of course you only have 1 undefeated matchup. The Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers, are 5-0. They are a +1 dog right now, +100 on the money line, facing the Tennessee Titans, who are also 5-0, -120 on the money line. The over-under is a total of 51. Dave Mason from Bet Online, where do you have the money, please?
63, getting great action as expected with 2 undefeated teams facing off. 63% of the cash is on the Steelers. 60% is on the over. Nothing real sharp here. Bet Online.
Nothing sharp. That's surprising. Such a big matchup. Philly Godfather, do you have something on this game?
I mean, I keep betting against the Titans, and they keep smacking me in the face. Pittsburgh, if you look at the record, you look at the point differential, they look like they're the better team, better defense. But just Tennessee's just so well coached. I know last year the Titans scored the 3rd most amount of points in the second half of games. So that shows you how well Mike Vrabel adjusts, at halftime. He's great at making adjustments, in-game adjustments, halftime adjustments. Gun to my head, I would have to take the Steelers here, but I'm not betting this game. I know Tennessee's a little banged up on their offensive line, and Matt's going to explain to you guys exactly who that is.
Matt, would explain to us who that is, please.
Yeah, Taylor Lewin's going to be out. He's a big pivotal piece for this offensive line. In 4 games he missed last year, at the beginning of the year, they let up 31 QB hits and 17 QB sacks, which is big. And they're versing now the best defensive pass rush in the NFL, one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the NFL. I really love Pittsburgh here. I mean, we have a big move on it. We talk about it on the Follow the Action podcast that drops every Thursday. We have a 2% move, and we break it all down there. So if you want, go take a listen, see what we got to say.
Yep, and just a reminder, that's also on our YouTube channel as well. Follow the Action. You can follow that and see the entire video. There's also 2 more picks up right now from the Philly Godfather and from the 8 Ball. The stiff arm from Derrick Henry. Best of all time?
It has to be.
Might just be.
Yeah. The picture where the defender is in the midair like this.
You know who he looks like? You know what he reminds me of? When Andre the Giant used to wrestle all the midgets, like they used to send 30 midgets up against him. He's just smacking people around.
Hand on them and just push them down.
He's just so big.
Unbelievable. Next game, number 473 and 474 on your sports betting screen. It is the number one ranked defense in the NFL. Tampa Bay Bucks behind Mr. Tom Brady are -4 as far as the spread. They're 4-2 on the year, playing the Las Vegas Raiders 3-2. The points total is 51.5 on the money line. It's the Bucks as of earlier today when I checked it, -205. Raiders +175. Dave Mason for Bet Online. Where do you have the money, please?
57% of the cash is on the Buccaneers, currently -4. The total's pretty much 50-50. About 52% of the action is on the over, currently 51.5. We did take some sharp action on the Raiders at +5.
Sharp at +5 on the Raiders. Thank you. Philly Godfather, do you have something on this matchup?
At anything at 3 or less, Tampa Bay's definitely the right side. But once you get past that key number, I mean, this Raiders offense has been playing lights out. They're 6th overall in offensive efficiency, 5th in yards per pass attempt. I think they're 9th in yards per play. And they've played some really good teams like the Bills, Saints, and obviously, the Chiefs, where they put up 40 against them. But we talked about this on the podcast. Styles make fights, in combat sports. And I think it also, works the same way in the NFL. It holds true in the NFL. The Raiders have that type of style that's going to give teams like Kansas City problems, teams that don't have good defenses. But this team, Tampa Bay, I mean, their defense is one of the best in the NFL. At where it's at right now at 4, I'm not touching the game. But if you could lay 3 on Tampa Bay, I think that's the right side, man, if it goes back down.
And the podcast that the Philly Godfather mentioned is Follow the Action. You can get it on Apple or Spotify. Get all of our videos, exclusive content on our YouTube that drops every Thursday morning. Sometimes Wednesday night. We also have golf and UFC, which Joey Odessa and the coach, Jonathan Coachman, also joins us on the podcast. Matt, from the college kids, do you have something on this game?
Like the Tampa Bay -3, we took a little tiny nibble. I mean, we're looking at the Raiders. They haven't versed a defense nearly as good as this team. They versed the Chiefs, Buffalo, New England, New Orleans, Carolina. They haven't versed a defense nearly as good as this defense in Tampa Bay, which is right there with Pittsburgh among the top defenses in the NFL. On top of that, like we said earlier, PGF was talking about how the offense has been banged up all year. Now they're finally getting all their pieces back together. And now Tom Brady has a full arsenal of weapons at his disposal. And I think Tampa Bay, I'm not taking them at 4, but if this line drops before game time somehow, I think Tampa Bay -3 is the right side.
Yeah, the Raiders had some issues on their offensive line, even though some of those guys are playing with the COVID crap. But Tampa Bay's got that type of defense that just forces turnovers. I think they're 2nd in the NFL in interceptions this year. So if Carr's off his game, or if that offensive line isn't playing at an optimum level, and they're getting that pass rush to them, they're going to force some turnovers. And as we all know, turnovers, predict who's going to win the game and who's going to cover the spread. We've talked about that a million times. It's right around 80%. So, if you can lay a field goal on Tampa Bay, it's definitely the right side. Going over that key number is always, a tough pill to swallow.
And just a reminder, we're going to give all of these games that we have Who Bet on What right at the end of the podcast or at the end of the show. Before the top of the hour, we'll get you to the first game on time. Next game is the team that Tom Brady left. I think they would like to probably have him back. Number 469 and 470 on your sports betting screen. It is the New England Patriots, who are 2-3 right now. They are -160 on the money line, playing the San Francisco 49ers, who are +3. You get 3 points to bet them. 49ers are 3-3. The over-under is a 45 total. Dave Mason from Bet Online. Where do you have the money, please?
72% of the early cash or the cash is on the Patriots. It's currently, what are they, -2.5, -130. So that's kind of sneaking towards 3. Over-unders split 50-50. The current number is 44.5. Nothing sharp here.
44.5. Philly Godfather, do you have something on the game?
Yeah, I took some +3 on the 49ers. Jimmy G's back. They're starting to get healthy, even though their defense isn't healthy yet. I also like the over here. If you go over 45 points, I think they're going to put up some points in this one. Give me the 49ers +3, man. I think they might have a chance of winning this game outright in Foxborough.
Matt, do you have something on the game?
Yeah, I don't have anything, but I do think San Fran has a shot, as PGF said. I think they have a shot to actually win it outright, possibly. I know it's tough winning in Foxborough throughout the years, but I think this is a spot where they're finally getting healthy. Jimmy G is finally getting that ankle ready, and they definitely have a shot.
We'll go to the next place that could be hard to play, and that is Arrowhead Stadium, because it is snowing and it is cold and the wind is blowing. Not significant, but the wind is blowing. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, who are -350 on the money line. You have to give up 7 points to bet on the Chiefs against the Broncos in this AFC West matchup. Broncos are 2-3. The Chiefs are 5-1. The over/under stands at 44 points. It's 471, 472 on your sports betting screen. Dave Mason from Bet Online. Where do you have the money?
56% of cash is on KC. 76% is on the under. And we took some sharp action, and the Broncos up +7.5 up to +8.5. And also a little bit on the total, too, under 46.
Philly Godfather, do you have something on the game?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this in the past. Anytime you got some real bad weather, I mean, it changes the whole dynamics of, how these teams are going to play the game. You got wind, you got snow, you got cold weather. The dog's always the right side in real bad weather games, especially a team that can run the ball a little bit, a team with a pretty good defense. The Broncos are the right side here. +7.5. Last week I had them on the money line with the Bears. I put the ticket out on Twitter at a 2-team money line parlay. I'm not betting them on the money line this time, but I like them plus the points. I like the Broncos here.
Like the Broncos, Matt. Do you have a bet in this game?
I actually like the under here, under 44.5, I believe. What is it, Dave? 44 and a half.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
44
actually like
right
the under. We had a similar occurrence last year with the snow and the winds, and between these two teams, I think it was in KC, however, and I believe that score, they totaled 26 points. So it's a similar occurrence here. We're looking at the game, and Denver, their defense hasn't played too bad throughout the year. They actually played pretty well. I kind of like the under here. I mean, and if on the side, it's hard to bet against these Chiefs, man.
The Chiefs start firing, Matt. Bet the Broncos. Fire.
But I like the Broncos +7.5. I really do.
Next two games is not a premier matchup. It is number 479 and 480 on your sports betting screen. Again, not in chronological order. It's how I got them off of the book earlier today. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars. You get +7.5 points to bet on them against the Chargers. The Jags are 1-5. The Chargers are 1-4. Somebody is going to get to their second win unless they tie, which certainly could happen when two horrible teams play. 49 is the current over/under total. Dave Mason from Bet Online. Where do you have the money?
It's pretty chopped up. 53% of the cash is on the Jaguars. 54% is on the under. Nothing real sharp here at Bet Online.
So nobody cares about this game.
Yeah, it's not getting a lot of action, to tell you the truth. It's a 4:25 game, so most of the action will come in once those 1:00 games are great and opens up the floodgates of people doubling down their winners or chasing their losses. So people will be betting on them, but right now the early action's not a whole lot.
Billy Godfather, do you have something in this matchup?
I'm not rushing to bet this either, but how the hell are the Chargers laying 7.5? I mean, both these teams, I think they've lost 9 in a row combined, right? When's the last time either one of these teams won a game? I think it was the first week of the season. I like the over 49. I mean, if you look at the average points per game that these teams are scoring, I think the Chargers are scoring 22, the Jags are scoring 20, yet the point spread's at 49. They're expecting some points in this one. I think the Jags can move the ball on this team. If anything, gun to my head, I like the Jags and the over.
Matt, do you have something on this game?
Nothing on this game. Jacksonville +7.5 is the right side, in my opinion. If I had to choose, gun to my head, like you said, PGF. Just too much delay for the Chargers. This Chargers team, I don't think they should be laying 7.5 here. So if you're looking for a value play, I definitely think the Jags on the side.
The only thing that scares me a little bit is the Chargers are looking for their first home win of the season. Justin Herbert might be looking to flex. He's been playing lights out.
Coming off a bye week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Dave, where's all the money at? Where's the public?
It's chopped 50-50, but
yeah,
the Chargers, they've played some tough teams. Tough. We're looking at KC 23-20. They lost an OT. They lost to Carolina 21-16. They lost to Tampa Bay 38-31. New Orleans 30-27 in OT. So I mean, they were some tough competition and played them tough.
Yeah, the problem is that back door is going to be wide open, man. I mean, the Jags have moved the ball. They've played good in spots against the Colts and against Tennessee early in the year. Surprisingly, they lost to the Titans by 3 points, and they beat the Colts. I think they were, 8-point dogs in that one or 9-point dogs? I forget.
They won 27-20.
They get their field goal kicker back this week, Jacksonville. So they've had issues with, kicking field goals too. I mean, I like the over.
All right, we are to the Sunday night game, the 8:20 game of Seahawks and the Cards. So I'll recap the entire card, the game slate today, and go over the bets, and then we'll go over the final game. The first game on the games on the sheet today was the Cleveland Browns, who got 88% of the public cash. The Philly Godfather, however, liked the Bengals at plus 3.5 or better, plus 4, plus 3.5. The next game, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Washington football team, is a dumpster fire, according to Philly Godfather, and I think he's very accurate. Philly Godfather says he leans toward the Cowboys. Matt, the college kid, said he leans toward the Washington football team. Next game is the Detroit Lions versus the Atlanta Falcons. Sharp money had taken the Lions at plus 3. Philly Godfather likes the over, but he likes the contrarian bet to fellow sharp money out there as far as the Falcons in the game. Next game, NFC South matchup, the Panthers versus the Saints. 78% of the action was on the Panthers. Philly Godfather likes the Panthers at plus 7. Very little sharp money was on this game. Philly Godfather also liked the under. The next matchup is the Buffalo Bills versus the woeful Joey Odessa New York Jets. 97% of the money was on the money line as far as the money line bet. Sharp money had taken the Jets at plus 10.5. Philly Godfather said he would take the Jets at plus 11. Matt, the college kid, said the Jets are on his do not bet list.
They stink.
Which broke Joey Odessa's heart. We miss Joy. Joy, if you're watching, we love you. The next game is the Green Bay Packers versus the Houston Texans.
John,
Matt,
what about Coach?
The college kids.
We don't love. Not to interrupt you. I apologize for being rude. So rude, but we don't love Coach.
No,
we just
no,
love
we don't go. We say we love him, but really don't love him. We just we say that. Just what we do is kind of like Ricky Bobby when you say with all due respect and you say something mean. You say something mean to Coach, but to get him where he's not like too upset, you go, "Oh, Coach, we love you. We're just kidding. That's just words." We're kidding, Coach. We love you. See, I just did it, Coach. I just did it, Coach. We love you. You're doing great in golf. By the way, Coach has a 128-1 long shot pick right now, Lonto Griffin, who's third in the tournament. He could actually. Coach is killing golf.
I put a nickel on it, John. Nickel on. Yeah, if he wins, Coach has got some money coming to him. I'm going to hook him up.
Wow, that's awesome. He's got a chance. He's third right now. Coach kills golf.
Yeah, he's on.
We miss you, Coach. Yeah. Come see us, please. The next game is the Houston Texans. Green Bay Packers. The Texans was taken by Matt at plus 3.5. 77% of the money was on the over. Sharp money also, according to Dave Mason from Bet Online, had taken the Texans at plus 3.5. Philly Godfather also liked the Texans at plus 3.5. The next game, a rescheduled matchup because of COVID, the Tennessee Titans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Matt, the college kid, had a big move on the Pittsburgh Steelers here. Philly Godfather also had a lean on the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's basically a pick-em matchup. And nothing sharp was on that game. Next matchup is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Matt, the college kids, had the Bucs at -3. Philly Godfather said take the Bucs at 3 or less. Sharp money has jumped on the Raiders once the line has gone up, according to Dave Mason, to +5. The next game is the 49ers versus the Patriots. Philly Godfather likes the 49ers at +3. 72% of the cash, according to Dave Mason from Bet Online, was on the Patriots. Philly Godfather also liked the over, which stands at 45. Next game, AFC West matchup in the snow in Arrowhead Stadium. Matt, the college kids, said take the under. 76% of the money also agrees with that and is on the under. Sharp money is at +7.5 on the Broncos. Philly Godfather also said he would take 7.5 points and take the Broncos. Next game is the Jags versus the Chargers. Matt, the college kids, leaned toward the Jacksonville Jaguars. Philly Godfather was on the over, which was 49 points. So we're to our Sunday night matchup, and that is the NFC West matchup between the Seahawks, who are one of 3 undefeated teams. The other 2 are playing each other. You have to lay 3.5 points to go with the Seahawks, playing the Arizona Cardinals, who are 4-2. The over-under stands at 54.5 points. Dave Mason from Bet Online, where do you have the money?
Yes, sir. On the Seahawks, not surprising. 70% of the cash is on Seattle, currently -3. And over under 58% was on the over, currently 54.5. Nothing too sharp here at Bet Online, but we got a long way to go till kickoff, so maybe something later.
Sure. So the one late game of the evening. Philly Godfather, do you have something on this game?
I mean, Seattle, it's so hard betting against Seattle. They got God's quarterback in Russell Wilson. He just finds a way with these miracle finishes to beat teams he's not supposed to beat, to cover spreads he's not supposed to cover. But their defense is all banged up. And anytime you're playing an Arizona team with Kyler Murray, who's electrifying with his legs, I mean, his arm's strong, you really need a strong pass rush. I think they're ranked 26th in the NFL this year in pressure rate and getting after the quarterback. And I just don't think that's enough. Even though Seattle has, the better overall record, Arizona has the better point differential. I think Arizona plus the 3.5 is definitely the right side here.
Matt, do you have something on this game?
Yeah, like PGF said, I mean, nothing yet. We don't have nothing. But as PGF said, the point differential, they have a better point differential. And 4 out of their 6 games that they've played have been on the road. Now they're finally coming home. And this is a good spot for them, I believe. I mean, we're looking at Seattle, and every game they played versus New England, pretty close, 35-30. Dallas, 38-31. Miami, 31-23. Minnesota, 27-26. This is a division game. Arizona, they looked good last week against Dallas, put a beat down on them. I think Arizona's the right side. I'm still waiting for more information to come in, so we might have a move on this later.
Yo, John, if you got some balls, bet the Jets in the first half plus 300. If you got some cojones. Jets, first half plus 300.
I'm from Texas. I got nothing to lose. I got no teams to bet on in Texas. Hell yeah. Okay, Jets plus 300 in the first half. I'm betting that. Yes, I'm betting that.
Take a shot.
I'll bet that as soon as we get off air.
Take a shot.
Jets 300 first half. I'm gonna bet it. I'm gonna try to talk Joey Odessa into betting it too. Well, there you have it, guys. That is Follow the Action, our first ever NFL show. The games that are on the slate today. Philly Godfather, what's the game that you're looking forward to the very most?
Jets first half plus 300.
Jets first half plus 300. I like that. While we're watching Lonto Griffith trying to root that man in, get a nickel on. That's great. 128-1, I think, is what it was roughly.
I'll break off Coach like $200 if it hits. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd give like 200 maybe.
If I liked him, he would have got a couple dimes. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Don't give him too much. It's the coach. You got to kind of keep him down just a little.
Buy him a Happy Meal at McDonald's or something. We'll go out to dinner.
Coach loves Happy Meals. Matt, what's the biggest game you're looking forward to?
Steelers, man. We got a big move on the Steelers game. I'm going to be rooting them hard all day.
Big move that you gave out on the podcast. And Dave Mason, what's the big game for Bet Online? Do you have any liabilities? Any game you're looking forward to specifically?
I'm looking forward, just from a fan, to watch that Steelers game. 2 undefeated teams. Both fun teams to watch. liabilities. I mean, the Packers game's getting the most volume by far, but 64% of cash is on the Packers. Like I said, Browns is most lopsided, 88%. So we have some big rooting interests here early.
Well, there you have it, guys. Thank you for joining us. This is Follow the Action. Follow us on Twitter. Get all of our shows, all of our exclusive content on our YouTube show and our podcast. Follow the Action you can download on Apple or Spotify for all the guys, for the Philly Godfather, for Matt and the College Kids, and Mr. Dave Mason, the supermodel from Bet Online. One day we're going to see him, and I think we're going to be amazed. Like looking at a Michelangelo statue from what
That's right.
You guys have a great day. Enjoy the games. Good luck.
All right, guys. Enjoy your day.
I'll see you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Take care, guys.